Hello, my name is Jon Sermon and I'm leading two churches in rural Suffolk in the UK and also chairman of Churches Together in my local area, as well as leading the trustees of a charity called Romans 1:11 Trust. We are all about mutual encouragement between the UK and Africa. And I committed some 4 weeks ago to doing regular short videos of encouragement as long as the COVID-19 lockdown arrangements continue. Right now, we're at a position where, for some, anxiety will be increasing rather than reducing. Because as the lockdown restrictions begin to ease step by step in gradual ways, the certainty we thought we had is becoming more and more uncertainty. Just what is or isn't okay to do, who can we meet, whether we can visit or other people, whether we can go on holiday, all sorts of things are becoming more difficult to have clarity about. And alongside that, for some of us, will be a real concern. Is this going too far too fast? Is the risk of infection going to increase again? Are we facing a potential second wave, or second peak of the virus? Will the NHS be able to cope? And so our circumstances are actually, for some of us at least, feeling more difficult even than they were at the beginning of the lockdown. We've also, depending on our personality types, some will be getting particularly increasingly frustrated because of the length of time it's all gone on. If you're an extrovert, the idea of mostly staying at home, I know it's changed to stay alert, restricting who you can meet, it's hard, it's tough. And then on top of that will be concerns about job furlough or redundancy, concerns about children and how to do homeschooling, concerns about whether and how much they're going back to school, and so on. Let alone that many of us are also facing bereavement. And in these circumstances, knowing we can turn to God is actually incredibly worthwhile. This morning we had a prayer gathering on Zoom, of course, not physically gathered together. But we still call it prayer gathering because some prayerful people from our area wanting to pray for the community came together through this technology. And so we could see each other face to face on Zoom. We could hear each other. We could pray together and hear each other's prayers and be sparked off and notice what God was prompting each of us to. And that itself was very encouraging. And we looked at a bit in the Bible called Psalm 143. It's one of the Psalms written by David, the famous King David, ancestor of Jesus and so on. Quite an interesting Bible character. If you learned about David, you know about Goliath, and that might be all you know. There's lots more to know, and lots more to learn from, because David is actually described in the Bible by God as a man after my own heart. Yet he was a deeply flawed character in many ways, and when he went wrong dramatically. But on the other hand, when he was back on the right track, praising God and living his life to glorify God, he did so brilliantly. Now in this psalm it begins with these words: O Lord, hear my prayer, listen to my cry for mercy. And that's a prayer we can all echo. Hear my prayer. Listen to my cry for mercy. Our land, our communities, our nation, our world needs God's mercy in these circumstances. And then he goes on, in your faithfulness and righteousness, come to my relief. See, David is acknowledging that God is faithful, God is righteous. And so that gives a power to a prayer, come to my relief. It gives a power to a prayer, hear me, my cry for mercy. And then later he says, I spread out my hands to you. My soul thirsts for you like a parched land. Now I'm guessing for some of us hearing this, you may not necessarily have thought that deeply about needing God, needing a relationship with God before this crisis. And maybe this is beginning to open up in your mind the thought, actually, to know our Creator, to know relationship with Him, to know forgiveness, to know restoration is worthwhile. And so my encouragement includes what I've said many times before. If you can find an online service, ours is on Zoom tomorrow, there'll be many others, or on television, or on radio, or find connections with people you know are Christians. It's worth exploring further because we can all reach the stage that we can say with confidence, oh Lord, hear my prayer, listen to my cry for mercy, because that parchedness of our souls that David refers to, God is able to relieve. Bless you.